How available was that 2-hour summer rule this year for summer taking over the program?
Yeah, I think it was valuable. I think whenever you get a chance to sit in a meeting room and talk to your guys and answer questions and watch film, I think is really valuable, especially with the freshmen. And then for us, the fact that we just went through it this spring for the first time, and they got an understanding, but now we're able to kind of go back and reinforce some things or answer some questions that they may have. So I think it's been very helpful.
James, it's been revealed that 5 congressmen have sent a letter to Mr. Emmert of the NCAA asking them to rescind the sanctions against Penn State. What is your reaction to that?
My focus is on what to call on third down against Central Florida. Obviously, that's something that's floating out there. And we'll see what happens. But again, spend very little time thinking or talking about those things because I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want our players to be disappointed. So we just focus on what we know. And right now it's very black and white. So we focus on that.
Do you feel good that others are maybe sticking up for Penn State and going with that fight for Penn State with the NCAA?
I'm excited to play Central Florida. And George O'Leary is a heck of a football coach, and they got a great program. And I'm focused on our guys passing the conditioning test, lifting weights, finishing strong academically, and they've done extremely well with that. Starting camp, our guys, I think, report to third, and really looking forward to that. Had a great meeting with our new athletic director and spending some time with our president. So I'm focused on those things. And the other stuff, again, I try not to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. Really, the only time I talk about it is with you guys, to be honest with you.
With the unlimited snacks and meals coming, is there any concern about players kind of getting off diets? Do you have to monitor that anymore?
Actually, one of my biggest concerns is the way the media is discussing it. The way I understand it, I don't think it's unlimited meals. And the way it's being presented in the media, I think, could create a little bit of an issue with disappointment that it's not just, Shoney's smorgasbord open all day long. That's really not how it's going to be. So one of my concerns is that making sure that the public, and you guys have the ability to affect the public, that they truly understand the rule and what it means. And then the other thing is, how are all these different schools and how all these different conferences going to implement the rule? But no, I don't worry about that. In most places, it's a challenge because the way the rules are set up, what the football player gets fed and is able to get is the same as any other sport. And we usually have a different caloric intake. So I do think there's some opportunities and there's some excitement with it, but that's my biggest concern is making sure that we implement it the right way and that the public truly understands the rule.
James, when you were hired, was there any trepidation on your part about having to work with a new president and then eventually an AD? I assume you knew that. Was that a concern to you? And now that the situation has played out, where do you think things stand from that perspective?
Yeah, it was a major concern. I don't think there's any doubt about it. When you take a job and you don't know who your bosses are going to be, and my boss is the athletic director, my boss is the president, my boss is the board of trust. I got a bunch of bosses. That's the other thing I always find unique is people say, well, you're the head coach, you're the boss now. You're not the boss, you're just working for different people now. But yeah, I think that was a big part, but the people that I was able to come in contact with at Penn State sold me on Penn State and the type of people that are going to be attracted to come and work at Penn State. So I was comfortable with that. I've been really, really excited getting to know President Barron. I've been really excited to get a chance to get to know our AD. It's a lot quicker, obviously. It's happening a lot faster. But no time like the president to get to work on it.
Sense of relief that part of it is over and the people that you're going to be working with?
It is. And now, now we're going to have to develop the relationships because for us to have the type of success that we want to have, the president, the AD, the head football coach, all the rest of the coaches, administration, we all got to be on the same page and building that trust and that rapport in those relationships. It's going to be great. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Being that you're one of the new guys in the conference, is this more valuable being it's your first time here, to kind of see the makeup of the conference, maybe meet some people you haven't met before that you're competing against? If that makes any sense compared to past SEC media days where you're not very.
I think a little bit. The coaches we've had Big Ten head coaches meetings already. A lot of us have known each other for years anyway, so there's relationships that are already there, and you kind of know their styles and recruiting. You know their styles and how they coach as well. Obviously, every day you're learning more. This has been great. Kind of enjoying this. There's things that I probably, like always, every day I'm taking notes of things that I would do differently. We brought our players in this morning. Next year, I'm going to bring my players in the day before. I saw a lot of the other players here, and being able to show them Chicago a little bit, go out and have a dinner, some deep dish pizza, and go out and kind of enjoy the city and get a chance to spend a little bit more time together. These are unique experiences. I want to make sure our guys get a chance to really, enjoy them. So that's something I probably do a little bit different. But yeah, every day just learning more and more about Penn State specifically and the Big Ten as a whole.
James, how is this atmosphere compared to SEC media days you've been doing in the past?
It's been great. I'm going to stay out of the comparison business, but it's been great. I'll have a better idea at the end of these meetings, and I'll have a better idea at the end of the year. But I get that question a lot about making comparisons, and again, I'm going to focus on Penn State. I'm going to focus on the Big Ten.
James, what's this week going to be like for you, preparing for your first preseason training camp? What do you have to do? What do you want to get done this week?
Well, pretty much most of the preparation has already been done. We've been working on it since the day we got the job. What helps is, you have a model of that you've used for the last however many years, and you adapt that model and you make some tweaks, and you're constantly trying to kind of grow and evolve, but you have a model, so that's helpful. Obviously there's some rules with the NCAA too of when you can start, so a lot of things are figured out for you. But we feel pretty good to go. There's not a whole lot left for us to do. It's just kind of cleaning up a few things, having some discussions as a staff, getting the final pieces of the puzzle put together and roll. But really the preparations, in the bag. It's behind us.
You were talking in there about having a lot of young guys and needing to create depth quickly. What do you find to be the best ways to get new players acclimated quickly?
Well, I think it's like people talk about, well, how do you teach guys how to win? By winning. How do you create depth? By playing the guys. And I think that's the hard part is you kind of have a plan, and everybody says that you should play to create depth, but then we take the best players off the field, and the fans are saying, well, how come those guys aren't on the field? I mean, it's critical. Well, you got to find a time to do it, and if you're not careful as a coach, you become cautious. And you play not to lose rather than playing to win. And playing to win isn't necessarily about your starters playing 80 reps. It's what's going to be in the best interest of the program for 4 quarters, what's going to be the best interest of the program for the season, and what's going to be in the best interest of the program for the long haul. And you got to constantly be doing that. So we'll have plans going into each season and each game of our starter is going to play this many reps, the backup's going to play this many reps, and at the end of the game, it's going to need to be that way. And I'm pretty aggressive in pushing our guys to make sure that happens.
There's competition for a lot of spots, but the running back spot in particular, what are you going to be looking for, especially from Zach and Belton as camp goes on? What are some criteria you use to pick a starter?
Well, to be honest with you, I think at the running back position, I don't think who the starter is really matters. I mean, if you look at major college football, the NFL, you're going to play 3 running backs, and they're going to rotate in, and you're going to keep them fresh, and then you're going to go with the hot hand. So, whether that's a freshman or whether that's one of the seniors that you mentioned, great. But we're going to play 3 guys and keep them fresh and keep them healthy. So I'm not as focused on who's starting, especially at that position, if that makes sense.
James, do you think the leadership on this team has emerged already, or that it will emerge during preseason camp?
Yeah, I think so. I think we got a pretty good foundation. We got guys that have really stepped up into those roles, but we're going to need to continue developing that through camp. You can never have enough leadership, and a lot of people, when you think about leadership, they're thinking about, on the field, but it's more than that. It's in the classroom, it's on campus, it's in the community, it's having leaders in your freshman class, your sophomore class, juniors and seniors, because if it's all senior-led, what's going to happen on Saturday when the seniors are one place and the freshmen are somewhere else? You better have leadership throughout your program that's willing to speak up and say what's right, and that's very important. It's important in the locker room that it's not just over in this section, that there's leadership throughout. So we're constantly trying to develop leadership in our program.
Who are some of the guys who have emerged already?
Well, I think, Hackenberg obviously has got everybody's attention. Diefenbach is a guy that I think everybody respects, not only because of the way he plays, but how he's conducted himself for 5 years. On defense, Mike Hull, he doesn't say a whole lot, but when he does, people listen. It might have something to do with the fact that he benched 225 over 30 times the other day at Lift for Life, but that's important, and he's done a nice job. You look at Ficken on special teams. I think he's a guy that you look at all that he's been through, the highs, the lows. He's kind of been there, done that. He's seen it all, and I think he's a tremendous resource for all of our players, guys that have just started. I mean, he's handled it extremely well and had a really confident, strong spring. So they're the guys that have stepped up for us so far.
We got to roll, everybody.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much.